You saw it, didn't you? As she muttered this to me, I awkwardly but honestly nodded. After all, there's nothing to be done about what I'd accidentally seen, the image of her that was spinning in my mind, refusing to leave. Yeah, what I had unintentionally seen while I was heavily drunk was. My name is Steve Patterson. I'm just a typical office worker. I was leading a moderately enjoyable life until today when things became a little out of the ordinary. I'm on a company trip. We're staying at this old but charming inn, complete with a hot spring and clean rooms. It's pretty awesome. Our company isn't that big, only about 20 people, but this year we'd performed particularly well, so they decided to give us nice accommodations. 2 male staff share a room and female staff got a single room. There aren't many female staff, and it's probably a special treat for our top performer, Catherine. Catherine is a stunning top saleswoman. Despite being my coworker, she is nothing like me. She is excellent and kind, like a goddess. As you might imagine, she was surrounded by the boss and department manager during the banquet at our trip. The boss and manager were clearly smitten with the hostess. Amidst all this, my gaze was directed at Catherine. Catherine, we have high hopes for you this year. You're our company's ace. Thank you. While watching her smile from afar, I sipped my drink. Even if it's pathetic, the thought of an average Joe like me drinking with Catherine felt audacious. As I was drinking like this, I ended up drinking more than I thought. The bosses were having a great time with the hostesses, and their boorish laughter echoed throughout the banquet hall. The female staff had returned to their rooms early because it was getting late, so it seemed like the bosses were having their fun time. Feeling dizzy from drinking too much, I made my exit in a hurry. My room was, although this was a traditional inn, unusually like a hotel, it had names and numbers on each room. Apparently, they used to have just names, but they started adding numbers to make it easier as they had more guests. Thanks to such efforts, this bed and breakfast has a long history as an established business. I looked at my room number. 30. There it is. The inn didn't have an auto-lock, so I didn't need to bother unlocking the door. Also, as I had a habit of carrying all my valuables with me, I didn't lock my door since I didn't leave anything valuable in the room. I opened the door with a creak, took off my shoes, and opened the sliding door. But, for some reason, Catherine was in the room. The moment I saw it, my drunkenness instantly sobered, and I closed the door. Whoa, sorry, wrong room, oops. Even though I had sobered up, I was still staggering, and I stumbled on the threshold of the entrance and fell spectacularly. Wait, are you okay? Catherine tried to ask in a flustered manner, but she couldn't say anything. The scene was spinning in my head. She had a glamorous and fit body. Her skin was translucent white. I saw things in my head that I shouldn't have seen, yet they kept appearing over and over again. But then, I remembered the big bruise on her side. That bruise, I felt like I'd seen it somewhere. Even as I thought about this, perhaps because I was too drunk, I fell asleep right there at the entrance. A few hours later, I was prostrating myself before Catherine. It was to be expected. If Catherine made a complaint, there was no chance I would win. My life was to be decided by Catherine's forgiveness. Although Catherine looked displeased, she said, "You were really drunk, so I'll forgive you this time, but don't drink that much anymore." I'm sorry. Actually, it was quite embarrassing, but Catherine had put me to bed in her room after I fell asleep on the spot. I have shown her a pathetic sight, and my pride was completely crushed. No matter how kind a goddess she is, it's only natural that she would be disgusted by my series of actions. Just as I had prepared myself for this, she finally opened her mouth. Aren't you going to say anything? Huh. Her usual confident smile was nowhere to be found. She seemed a bit down, lacking confidence. From my perspective as a man, I had been shown a captivating scene, and I was actually thankful for it. As I was considering my words carefully to avoid causing a big problem, she murmured, "You saw the bruise, didn't you?" I saw it, but what about it? Doesn't it disappoint you? Everyone says so. If only it weren't for that bruise, I'd be perfect. I did see the bruise, but the impact of the other pots was too strong, and I didn't think that bruise was something I needed to worry about. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect person. It's kind of like your trademark, and it's cool. I inadvertently blurted out those words. Then, she widened her eyes in surprise. At the same time, I felt a sense of déjà vu. Had I said this line somewhere before? "You're really different, Steve. You're the second person to say that to me." "Oh, was it your boyfriend? Isn't it well known in the office that I'm single? Are you being sarcastic?" "I was told that by a classmate in elementary school. Well, I've transferred to another school due to my parents' circumstances, so I haven't seen him in a while." Upon hearing her say this, I exclaimed, "Ah, it's a distant memory, but there was a girl with a bruise in my class. I think it was around the 2nd grade. During gym class, while changing, one of the boys said to her, 'What's that black spot? So gross.' A few boys joined in the mockery, and she ended up crying. I remember saying the same thing to her. She ended up moving away, and I can't even remember her name anymore. Could it be Catherine?" Wasn't your elementary school before you moved? Maplewood Elementary." Yes, but how do you know that, Steve?" "Yeah, I just remembered that there was a girl in my class who had a birthmark like yours. You moved away before we went to the 4th grade, right?" "Yes, that's right." "Wait, Steve, were you the boy from back then?" It turns out, Catherine and I had attended the same elementary school. Catherine's parents divorced at the time, and she moved with her mother, changing her last name to her current one. I never thought I'd reunite with her as a coworker at the same company. But you remembered me after seeing me undressed. That's kind of awkward. I'm sorry about that." "It's fine, but we should probably head back to our rooms. It's late." I was feeling better, so I apologized to Catherine once more before heading back to my room. A month later, Catherine and I had gone close enough to have tea together occasionally. That's because Catherine had become a little comfortable with me, as I didn't get disappointed seeing her birthmark. We'd have tea, and sometimes even a drink or two. When we did, it was almost always time for Catherine's ranting session. "Why does nobody value you?" "Because I'm just not that good." "What are you talking about? You quietly handle administrative tasks and help others without anyone noticing. You need to assert yourself more." Catherine's complaints were mostly about my job evaluation. "I'm simply doing what I think will make everyone's job easier, nothing more." Catherine insists that it's incredible, but I think it's an overstatement. When I say so, Catherine always pouts. Seeing her like that was kind of cute, and I thought our relationship would continue like this forever. But then an incident occurred that marked the end of this relationship. Catherine said she was going to meet a client, and then all contact with her was cut off. Our company deals with dyeing, and Catherine was supposed to be visiting a factory in the countryside today, but she hasn't returned to the office for hours. No one can get in touch with Catherine, and the factory says she came for a visit and then left. Even when the work hours ended, Catherine hadn't come back, and her mother, who is her emergency contact, also didn't know where she was. I was supposed to be done for the day, but it was hard to believe that the Catherine would go somewhere without reporting to the office. I decided to go looking for Catherine after work. The road leading to the factory is rarely used by vehicles. It was dark at night, and there was little I could do on my own other than look down at the mountain from the road, but maybe there was some kind of clue. As I was driving, I found Catherine's car stopped on the side of the road. But Catherine was nowhere to be found. The driver's seat door was open, and the keys were still in the ignition. "Catherine, where are you?" It was when I shouted. "Steve, is that you?" A frail voice could be heard from the other side of the guardrail, meaning it was from the woods. Beyond the guardrail, there wasn't a paved slope, and at the bottom of it was where I found Catherine. Her clothes were tattered as if she had fallen down. She was weakly raising her hand in distress. I immediately contacted the paramedics, and Catherine was rescued. During her fall, she twisted her ankle and had some minor scrapes, but thankfully, her life was not in danger. She mentioned that her car had broken down on her way back from the client's place. While checking out the issue, she lost her balance due to her high heels and fell through a gap in the guardrail. Catherine wondered, "Why were you there, Steve?" "I'm glad you were, but it's strange." So, I told her, "I thought something might have happened. I was looking for you because I knew you weren't the type to skip work without telling anyone." Hearing this, she blushed and smiled. "How about going to the aquarium next time, as a thank you?" This was clearly an invitation for a date. It was different from the usual casual suggestion for drinks. This had me puzzled, but I declined her offer. "Let's go when you're fully recovered. You've twisted your ankle after all. We should start with somewhere closer. I'd like to be the one to ask you out to the aquarium." Upon hearing this, Catherine seemed pleased. There was a reason why I declined. I had planned to ask her out to the aquarium myself and confess my feelings to her. A man should make the first move. Well, that's just my pride talking. But, in the end, I wasn't able to ask her to go to the aquarium. The reason being, a week after Catherine's accident, we were informed that our company was to be merged. It was so sudden and surprising. But given the shaky performance of the company, I could understand if the boss was doing this to protect our livelihoods. We had good performance this year, but we had been struggling for the past few years. The grand company trip we had, that was the last of it. That's why it was so luxurious. So, it was inevitable for the company to merge. But the problem was with the company we were merging with. It was a major fashion company, and we were to be assigned to its newly established dyeing department. And the boss of that company was Catherine's mother. After her divorce, she had started a small company and had built it up to its current size. When I went missing, the boss contacted my mom, right? When he called her again saying I was found, she started looking into the company. Catherine's mother had always let her live her life the way she wanted, never interfering in her work, but she had gotten worried that the company environment might not be good, given her daughter's predicament. Upon investigating, she fell in love with our dyeing work. The boss talks swiftly concluded given the dismal business performance of our company. The paperwork is still in process, but it seems to be ongoing. A company transfer. I was thinking about this nonchalantly when suddenly the boss tapped me on the shoulder. "Steve, can I talk to you for a moment?" The boss was looking at me seriously. Could it be that he's going to say, "I'm sorry, but you're fired"? The pressure from the boss was intense. Yes. The truth is, you're the only one being transferred to a different department." "What? Am I not in the dyeing department?" I was surprised as I received an explanation from the boss. Apparently, based on the recommendation from a woman named Catherine, I was the only one assigned to the main office. I was shocked by this, but Catherine too was going to be assigned to the office. When I told my mom about your hard work, she said she wanted you in the office. She's a tough person even with her own family, so it wasn't just because I recommended you. It's based on your achievements. Catherine said. I was perplexed by what Catherine said, but I wanted to make the most of this opportunity that I had been given. Besides, I didn't want to disgrace Catherine, who had recommended me. I'll do my best. And thus, I progressed in my new company, which was about 20 years ago now. I'm in my 50s now. But thanks to my hard work back then, I'm now an assistant to the CEO. The company has grown significantly under a new CEO, but the new boss keeps me busy. At work and even at home. Steve, where's the wine? Come on, Catherine, you're drinking too much. I scold my wife, Catherine, who has finished a whole bottle of wine at home. Since joining the office, we work together more, and although I originally intended to confess my feelings at the aquarium, Catherine confessed to me first. And so, we started dating, and then got married. We've been blessed with children, and we're leading a successful life together. Catherine took over the company, and I'm supporting her, but no matter how many years pass, Catherine keeps leading me. I find it absolutely endearing. Why not? It's our home, so it's okay to get drunk. You'll catch a cold if you sleep on the floor again. I don't need to hear that from you. I was at a loss for words. We've been together for 20 years, but she never fails to make fun of me. But I'm not upset. After all, if it weren't for that incident, I wouldn't have been able to spend time with her like this. All right, if you get too drunk, I'm sleeping on the couch. I don't want to sleep alone, so I'll stop drinking. Catherine says, smiling. I want to stay together until our smiles become all wrinkled. Thinking so, we enjoy our evening drinks in moderation, as always.